What's going on, guys? Already a lot of great questions and comments in the chat. I really appreciate you guys for another fantastic week of the show. Again, you guys make the show what it is, so I appreciate you guys tuning in Monday through Friday at 9:30. We have a ton to get to tonight. Pretty active weekend of weather. I don't think anything severe or anything like that. We're just kind of dodging some showers and downpours and thunderstorms. And then we have the tropics. And if you've been following on the Facebook page or following the National Hurricane Center, you know we have a new yellow highlight. So we are going to break that down coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to kind of rapid fire through the Florida part because I know there's a lot of questions on the weather side of things or on the tropical side of things. So we'll break it down again. Soggy in the Sunshine State as the rain chances going up for the weekend and for the first couple of days of school if you're in the Central Florida area. Then we're going to break down the tropics again. A few waves worth watching. Now, one of those waves officially highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. Then at the end, if there's time, and I'm going to try to get through them, we're going to break all those down. We're looking live look, by the way, in Ocala and in Fort Myers tonight. So thank you to WeatherStem for allowing us to use their extensive network of cameras around the great state of Florida. All right, we're going to hop into it with the rain. We still have some downpours on the radar. They are fizzling out tonight. Most of us will see a quiet night. There could be a few stray downpours along the eastern coast, the East Coast tomorrow. Otherwise, it's going to be once we get into the afternoon again. So I want to show you the reason why. And it's because of this little wave, and it's kind of active. We have the darker blues and oranges out over the water. Those are the colder cloud tops. When those colors turn a little brighter, that means the thunderstorms are a little more intense. So certainly you see down by Cuba and then over the Florida Peninsula, that's where we have the taller thunderstorms. So if you were trying to fly in and out of Orlando, no doubt a little bumpy on your way out or in. And that's going to be the same case tomorrow, Sunday, and likely into Monday as we are still going to be under the influence of this tropical wave. I want to show you the high resolution future radar here. And you're going to notice just like a little broad spin. There's no center to this. It's not a tropical system or anything like that. It's just helping to drape tropical moisture right over the state of Florida. So there we go. Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. We have some thunderstorms kind of right on each coast. So that's where we're going to have the early opportunity for some thunderstorms. And then as we move into the early afternoon, we'll start to fire off a few more storms, and then they increase in coverage. You see a lot of the state really doing some dodging tomorrow if you have plans maybe with the family as getting back to school. But all the stuff there. 7 o'clock on your Saturday evening, we're looking good with the storms out there. So again, if you do have plans across the state of Florida for the weekend, it's not going to be a total loss. We're just going to have to be vigilant as we dodge some thunderstorms. Okay, rain chances are high in Central Florida. They're at 80%, but all the stuff there, again, working its way to the afternoon, evening, a few downpours also in the morning. Now, with that, with the higher rain chances and cloud cover, we are going to see the opportunity for some much cooler air. Well, all right, let me rephrase that. It's not really cooler air. It's just a relatively cooler day. Like today, it wasn't blazing hot when the clouds were out. We're not talking about a cold front or anything to give us a nice clean sweep. Again, we know we don't get those until like October, but it's going to be 86 in Jacksonville. We're right on the money, right on the nose of average in Orlando. Miami's at 88. Vero Beach is at 89. Pensacola is at 88. So kind of all over the place in the temperature department, depending upon where those storms are. And again, there should be a lot of them out tomorrow. Not a total loss. I want to be clear about that. However, there is going to be the opportunity for a lot of thunderstorms and the likelihood for a lot of thunderstorms as we move through the day tomorrow. All right, coming up in a couple of minutes, we're going to get to the break on the short side of things today. So we have a lot of extra time to talk about the tropics. And if I sped through something on the Florida part of the forecast, let me know, and I'll go back and recover that. Here is the new update. This was hot off the press. This has been the wave that we've been looking for or looking at for the last couple of days. It's been getting some publicity on the social media things with, again, some wild model runs when it comes to this wave. It's emerging off of Africa as we speak. It's got some juice to it for sure. Hurricane Center officially tagged that tonight, 20% shot for development over the next 7 days. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the Atlantic environment because I still think there is an issue when it comes to the Atlantic being able to support these storms. And I mean, that's a good thing for us. Okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's an issue for the storm. Um, it's once it gets a little closer to home, closer to the Caribbean islands, that's when the environment becomes a little bit better. So we're going to go into some detail here. We're going to break this down. I'm going to show you some models. I'm going to show you the ensembles, and then we're going to go from there. So post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Post if you have any questions. I'm going to go through the chat and look at some of the things that I may have missed. But we will get to all that again in just about 3 minutes. I'll see you in a second. Alrighty, guys, we are so back. Had to change the music a little more upbeat on a Friday night. It was a little slow for the liking here. Okay, so Jody has a great question here, some hurricane prep questions. He says, recently moved here the second half of last year. Now we are in a full year here, but still unsettled about hurricanes. Live on the first floor with hurricane windows. Our office staff tells us we are safe. If they're telling you you're safe, you should be pretty good. If you're not near any kind of creek or if it floods. Now, you always need to be on guard because as Hurricane Ian taught us, if there's enough rain in these things, it doesn't matter if you're in a floodplain or not. So that's something where you always have to kind of outweigh the impacts. But if you are in a well-constructed apartment on the first floor with hurricane windows and all that stuff, I think you are your best bet's just to stay there. Inland areas seldom have to evacuate unless you're in a mobile home. That's the only time that I'm going to tell you, or a local official is going to tell you to evacuate if you're inland, is if you are in a mobile home. So important to know that. And again, if you want more hurricane preparedness stuff, if you go to clickorlando.com/hurricane, we have a county by county breakdown, evacuation routes, everything like that for if a storm comes. And that was just because Jody asked it. I hope we don't have to put into uh, any kind of action plan for a very, very long time. But hot off the press, I guess an hour now, Hurricane Center highlighted this thing here. It's a nice, big, juicy tropical wave. And we talked about this really through the course of the week because models have been biting on it. But what do you know? Models have been biting on a lot of things. And how many storms have we had? And I don't really count those other four because those are those short fuse, very weak things. Okay. I'm talking about models with 96L. And by the way, side note, as I have my squirrel moment, okay, we're gonna go right here. That little bubble of thunderstorms right there in the yellow blob. That's Invest 96L. That's the thing that everybody was hyping up all last week that was gonna like decimate the Carolinas, at one time decimate Louisiana, and then at one time decimate Florida because people were just sharing those crazy model runs for clicks. I told you it wasn't going to happen. The steering current wasn't right. And the main development region just can't support these things right now. So be careful what you see on social media, and that's going to play through the weekend as well with this guy. Still a 40% shot in the orange there for it to develop. It's lifting into the subtropics where it's actually a little more favorable for development up there. So we'll see if we get a tropical depression from 96L, the Invest as it's called. Okay. Development chances over the next 7 days are low, 20%, and I'm going to show you why. But slow development is possible next week. And that's the key here. Slow development. We're not talking about explosive development where this thing is going to go nuts and then make a run for the Caribbean or anything like that. That's going to be the deal. The main development region is still wacky. Okay, there is a lot of dry, dusty, stable air there. Look at it. I mean, as it's coming off, there's also a nice ejection of some pretty thick Saharan dust. Like, look at all the brown there. So, I have questions. Can it even sustain these things? And again, I gave you that homework assignment, or not homework assignment, but that's going to be our thing to watch over the weekend and when we talk again all next week, because I'm watching this in real time with you. Because model guidance is going nuts with it. Model guidance has gone nuts with the last couple of waves, and they're not developing. And it's because of the factors. If you remember, I showed some graphs last week, and the Atlantic is just not unstable enough. It needs to be unstable to support these things. There's dry, dusty air in the way. So with that said, I do want to show you, though, because the one thing we did talk about through the course of the week is the steering current. It's not the best for getting these things to go out at sea. Okay, so we're following this first blue circle, and inside there is that purple and red color. This is the atmospheric moisture. This is going to be the moisture surge associated with a potential storm coming through. So when I tell you that it's far out, it is far out because this is next Saturday. So this is 8 days from now. This thing is just making a run for the Northeast Caribbean. And to me, it looks broad. It doesn't look super impressive at this point en route to the Caribbean islands. Okay, so that's something that we're going to be watching to see if it underperforms or overperforms. This is no doubt probably the biggest, at least the biggest thing to watch so far this year. Again, still, that does not mean anything. We're just watching it, okay? This is the steering current going forward, and this little colorful ball thing that pops up, that's the mean sea level pressure working across. And the one thing that you'll see, it does start to make a little nudge up. That's what I like to see. However, there's a lot of high pressure there, and I don't know if it can kind of punch through that. So if this was going to continue to go out, we may find it going further west, maybe towards the Turks and Caicos. But this is why you can't put stock in anything like this, because we just don't have data. We really don't know how strong these high pressure systems are. We really don't know how dry the air is. We can tell a little bit on satellites, of course, but we don't have weather balloon launches up there to really get that upper air data that we need until the hurricane hunters get up, but it needs to get closer to land, unfortunately. So I would assume that they will do that once it gets close to the Caribbean. I mean, I know they will do that. And So that's one of the things we're going to watch in addition to this is, okay, what does it look like by the time we get here? So next Friday night, a week from tonight, we'll probably know a lot more. It might have a center by then, and that's the general rule of thumb. You can't trust any of these models until there is a well-defined low-level center. And even then it's kind of wishy-washy until we get hurricane hunter data in there. We need that critical data of what's going on inside the storm and sometimes more importantly, the atmosphere around that storm. So I want to show you some of the ensembles now with this. And remember, ensembles are the best thing to look at this stage in the game. We're not looking at singular model runs here, but there is a wide spread. So let me bring up my telestrator. I'm going to dial that up on the other computer. This is it right here, okay? Look at all the L's. There is a lot. I know a lot of people laugh at these, but they do tell a story here because there's 51 different members of the European ensemble, which is what we're looking at. And in each member, different initial conditions are put in. And the reason for these, it's because we don't have a lot of data. So they'll tweak okay, maybe the high pressure is this strong. Okay, maybe it's a little weaker. Okay, maybe the air is drier. Maybe it's a little more moist. So they'll put those in and be like, okay, if we do get a grouping of these L's and lines together, if there's a little bit of a consensus, okay, we might be on to something. You might be able to forecast a little bit. There's a super wide spread. There is, I mean, I like to see a consensus away from the Caribbean islands and certainly bending a little bit. But there's also, I mean, 5 or 6 runs that keep it west. There are a couple, I mean, really like this, get it way out of there. So the point I'm trying to make is that we just don't know. And that battle is going to ensue, which is going to be very interesting to watch. There's a lot of forcing out there. And when I say forcing to get thunderstorms to erupt over Africa, like if the Atlantic was even moderately favorable, the Caribbean be in trouble, the East Coast of the US would be in trouble because Africa is like a shooting gallery right now. I mean, it's just sending wave after wave after wave. But the Atlantic's like, sorry, bro, I'm not supporting you. And that's a good thing for us again, because these waves aren't going to have free reign at warm water or anything like that. There's a lot of battle that it has to do. So again, that's the positive. And that's why, again, I'm going to check the comments. I want you to hit the thumbs up. No one's going to freak out over the weekend. I want you to enjoy the weekend. I want you to enjoy next week. And everything like that. So just keep that in mind, that there's nothing coming in this direction. There is nothing imminent. Melissa, it does not mean the East Coast is going to get hit with a hurricane. It does not mean that, no. Hey, Susan and Boca. No, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry yet. I have a graphic here. I'm going to pull this up because I think this kind of tells a story on another reason why we just don't have enough data to forecast it. I mean, this thing is just emerging off of Africa, but I want to show you kind of what we're looking at. This is the typical lead time for a tropical system across the Atlantic. So we are in the 8 to 10 plus day range. And I showed you there it wouldn't be approaching the islands until next week if this tries to make a run for the East Coast. I mean, again, that's a big if. We got to watch high pressure. But if it does, the time frame would be the 18th through maybe the 22nd, 23rd, depending upon if it's going further north or south. So there's a lot of time to watch this. And again, I'm not sold on it. I'm in the stage of I'll believe it when I see it. The models just don't understand right now. This is why you still need human forecasters, by the way, because the models just don't understand that the Atlantic, it should be much better. It should be much more favorable. We're in August, but it's just not. And that's a great thing. And then, of course, so we're weighing out, okay, we have a lot of tropical waves coming in our direction. The Atlantic is not that favorable. Which one wins out? and then it's the steering current, and that's something that we're going to be watching closely for over the next week to 10 days that we watch this. And again, it's August, so we're in that watch mode. Alrighty, guys, keep posting in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions on this storm, on any storm, on anything in Florida related, hit me up, post in the chat, or anything that we talked about or not talked about in this chat. This is the time to get off the rails. We're going to actually have some time to talk about it because I left us with a little bit of time. Sometimes I get into the weeds a little bit, but I'll catch you guys in about 3 minutes after this short break, and then I'll break down some questions. I don't think it's a complete wash, my friend. I do think, though, we are going to be doing a lot of dodging. I'll pull up that high-resolution future radar for the entire state of Florida, and I will show you what I'm talking about here. Again, we're going to be in and out of downpours, so the rain chances are high this weekend, but there will be breaks. So I don't think it's like where it starts rainy and ends rainy, and so that's at least a positive. So there's an example there. 11 o'clock along both coasts, we could be dodging some thunderstorms already. And then you see the storms fire in the southwest side of the state. And then we have more pushing into the interior as we get into the afternoon. So that's 7 o'clock on your Saturday. So I don't think it's a complete washout, but the rain chances are going to be high. And that's where, just because for Central Florida anyway, there's an 80% shot for thunderstorms, but it's not going to rain 80% of the day. It just means if you step outside at any point, if you're traveling around the Central Florida area, maybe going to the beach or the theme parks or hanging out at a park or something, you have an 80% shot to get wet once you leave your house. So that's the deal with that. So not a complete loss, but we are going to be doing some dodging out there. So just want to get through that. I want to show you the steering current. These are the anomalies here. This is on weatherbell.com. Um, and this is what we don't want right here. And it's going to be interesting to see, okay, how fast does that guy get out of here, that upper low? But then this is the ridge over troubled water setup. We talked about this last week. It was the highlight of my Tropics Watch newsletter earlier in the week, that if we were to get something substantial out there, it could get close to land. Now, a lot of the, again, ensemble members still punch it through. Okay, so they do still take it. So I mean, that's good, but this is what, instead of watching the flip-flop models, that would be, again, that'd be where the storm, that's the 17th of August, by the way. And again, I don't want anyone paying attention to the intensity of this, because it's wild. The European has been terrible on tropical genesis, tropical development this year. They've all been pretty terrible. So that's why, again, this weekend, next week, just we'll let you know. I'll let you know whenever models start catching on to the scenario, catching on to the right solution. What we say now, there's something out there, there's something likely going to get close to the Northern Caribbean islands. And then what happens after that remains to be seen. But we don't want that guy to keep on building out here, because then it's going to have the tendency to continue to push it further west. So why does the dust affect how development in the ocean happens? Because that dust is hanging out about 15 to 20,000 feet above the surface. The tropical systems need to have moisture, and it's in that layer. It's not only dry, but it's also really hot. And so when it's hot in the mid levels of the atmosphere, you need it to be cool for instability. So it's like a double-edged sword. Not only is it dry and dusty, but it's also really warm in that section, and it's hard for thunderstorms to grow and develop. Yeah, I do think we're going to have another backloaded season once we get some cooling from getting into fall, late September, October, like last year. I think the stability cap will break, and then we'll unfortunately see more development coming through like last year. And then, yeah, and then Zachary also seconds the ridge over troubled water setup. Alrighty, guys, I am out of time. Do me a favor. Don't look at the models this weekend. I mean, you can, but don't put any stock into it. I don't want anybody freaking out, okay? We're making a pact right now. This thing has a long, long way to go. There's so many questions with it. It's going to flip-flop, windshield wiper effect, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to break down the atmosphere, and we're going to see what happens with this, and we're going to know a lot more, certainly by this time next week, as it gets close to the Caribbean islands, if it even survives. Just like in the movie Hercules, if is good. And that's what we're going with tonight. Alrighty, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. Stay dry out there. We're going to be dodging thunderstorms throughout the Florida Peninsula. I am doing the morning show on Monday, so I will not be here live, but I'm back here on Tuesday evening. Follow me on Facebook, Jonathan Kegges News 6. I'll be watching this over the weekend and, of course, all next week. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.